See, the lower ones are 34 pounds per hour.
And what were the upper ones?
I'm checking
Oh.
right now. I think they're more. Well, and the upper injectors are the ones they use for the maximum horsepower, so it kind of makes sense. And they're oddly imbalanced. And that one's short, and that one's big. Although this one isn't far off, so we'll have to see what they do. Let's see. Nope, they're the same. They're 34 pounds an hour. Strange.
Uh-oh, the calculator's coming out.
Yeah. Let's see. So yeah, at 2,500 RPM, 2 revolutions of the engine at 48 milliseconds. If the pulse width is 12 milliseconds, that's 25%. So it's 25, 75, 25% open, 75% closed. So it's a 25% duty cycle. Yeah, one revolution is 24 milliseconds, and a cycle is 2 revolutions. So, as you can see, at 2500, you got 48 milliseconds to play with. So let's do it at 15,000. Eight milliseconds is all you have. If it takes 1 millisecond to open and close, that's 12.5% that you can't use. You got 7 milliseconds to play with. So
At 15,000.
yeah, so your 87.5% duty cycle gets you right to the point where you start fucking yourself and you lose control of the fuel.
Oh.
Your peak is what you
Yeah.
are, and you can ask for more time, and all it'll do is fuck with the disc that's trying to seal, because it won't be completely closed, and you're already trying to open it again.
Yeah.
So yeah, roughly a millisecond, and I don't know what the response time of these, but and they call that dead time, because the coil has to build up enough to pull the disc off with 42 psi behind it. So that dead time is always the same at any RPM, but the higher RPM, the less number of milliseconds you have. And so at ultra high RPM stuff, they have special injectors called peak and hold, where they hit them with a higher voltage, where they've got a lower resistance, so they get much more current, and then they have to lower the current. It doesn't take as much to hold them open, but if they don't lower the current, they overheat. So they have a special power supply for the injectors for the ultra high RPM stuff. Those are peak and hold or low or high impedance. Are they high impedance injectors? They're low impedance injectors. So they conduct a lot more current, and you have to lower the voltage once they open, or they'll overheat. And the fuel flowing through keeps injectors cool, basically.
Yeah.
But when you've got low impedance and super high current, you have to have a special power supply, and so that'll get you another half millisecond, which is 6%.
Yeah.
And so, and then, like for the GP stuff, they run 20,000 RPM. They run peak and hold injectors. They run 64-bit computers instead of 32-bit, just so they can break it up more accurately. And they run peak and hold injectors in 10 bar. This is 3 bar. 10 bar is 10 times 14.7. 147 psi, not 42. So, and that's what it takes to get fuel in when you don't have any time.
Yeah.
So let us I didn't get a measurement on it. Fire this up.
That was running at 2,500 RPM?
Yep. 12 milliseconds, that's, yeah, like we said, it's 25% duty cycle. Sometimes you just have to walk away and wait for the bubbles to go down.
Yeah.
So the next one at 5,000 RPM and 12 milliseconds, guess what? You're going to get twice as much fuel. Q2, we don't care that much about the low RPM. 29. And 42.7.
This is fascinating.
No, fucking boring.
Well, it's the first time for me.
Okay.
So,
Yeah, well, it'll wear off. Don't worry.
yeah.
So yeah, if you don't want any bad news, don't ask any questions. You know.
So for someone to bring an injector in to get this done, roughly what
It's about 35 a piece.
what can you do to run this test? If someone brought all their injectors in for you to run this test, what would you say?
Yeah, about 35 a piece, and I'd
Yeah.
run through the ultrasonic cleaner too.
Oh, okay.
I'm thinking yours, you know, aren't going to need cleaning, but
Well, it's looking like I'm going to
also do
be
that.
ordering different ones. Yeah, you can definitely see a variance there.
So on your on those other injectors,
Mhm.
I put a drop of gun oil on them. When this stuff dries up, they can stick. So you fire it up and it idles on 3. And just, I don't know, just the goo and the gun oil for sure won't. And one of the guys suggested soaking them in or running white gas through them, but you used to be able to buy white gas at Hoygards and stuff, and I don't know that you can anymore. 83.9. Those are really close. Right.
That was at 5,000 RPM, right?
Yep. So at 2,500, 12 milliseconds was 25% duty cycle. At 10,000, 3 milliseconds is 25%. Oh, that makes sense. Times 4 RPM. Divided by 4 time. So imagine what the GP teams are doing for a 20,000 RPM engine. How much they're testing their injectors. Because this is, yeah, this one's 50, and this one's 47.5. So that's 5%.
Yeah.
And 5% is half an air-fuel ratio. It's the difference between 13:1 and 13:6:1. Maybe 13:7. And if you want to make horsepower, you want your air-fuel ratios to be right. Now, for practical purposes, that isn't enough that, you know, our accuracy on the dyno would actually detect the difference. But yeah, this cylinder and this cylinder are going to be rich right at wide open throttle.
Is there a way, knowing, you know, having this knowledge, that you could apply it to when you are tuning it and just adjust for the variance in the injectors, you know, when you're entering in the number?
Well, all right. So if you bought a Bazaz ZFI, which is their power commander,
Yeah.
you can set the trim on each cylinder. And you can add 3% on one cylinder and take away 2% on another cylinder. But that only matters at 10,000. They're almost the same at 5,000.
Yeah.
So at 5,000, one of them's 5% richer than the other, just like they are here without it. So the only way you can do it is map all 4 cylinders separately.
Yeah.
I got a picture of a MotoGP Yamaha exhaust system that's leaning up against the barn because they're working on it. Got 4 big, fat, wideband sensors in the pipes.
Yeah.
You think they're doing that just for kicks?
Right. How often do you check injectors that are actually all identical?
Never. You know? So yeah, if you don't want to know the ugly truth, don't ask the question.